Okay, so they'll probably hop back on in a minute or so. Anyhow, I just want to welcome everybody to the very first Koda Connections. So my name is Trina. If you don't know me already, I'm healthcare manager at Camp Omnipod Koda. And before we kind of get into all the content with Julia, I thought it would be a good idea to maybe just say hi to everybody, introduce yourself so we know who you are. I'm gonna let someone else into the room here. So again, my name is Trina. I'm the healthcare director at Camp Omnipod Koda. I have type 1 diabetes. And I found camp because my youngest son also has type 1 diabetes, and the doctor's office told us about camp, so I started bringing him there. And then I started coming back every year and started working there, mostly because Julia thought it would be a great idea. So you can thank her for that. And I just kept coming back over and over and over again. So we'll kind of go around. I'll just give everybody, and if you can just either tell your connection to camp or your connection to type 1, if maybe you're not connected to camp, something like that. So you can kind of just say hi to everybody. So Julia, why don't you go next?
Sure. So my name's Julia Blanchette. I'm a nurse scientist, diabetes care and education specialist, and a nurse at camp. I was previously the head nurse. That's what it used to be called, and it was more of just a seasonal type job, but what Trina's doing kind of year round. I've been going to Camp Omnipod Koda for 7-ish years. I went to diabetes camp growing up, but I didn't live in Ohio, so I went to the not coolest camp ever, which is Omnipod Koda. I went to Claire Barton in Massachusetts because that was near where I lived. And I loved camp so much that I still work at camp. And I've had type 1 since I was 7. I've been on a pump for 21 years. And I've been on a CGM since 2014 and haven't stopped using one. And I've tried every type of technology you can think of. So I love talking about technology, and I'm excited to be here.
Great, thanks. Margie, can you go next?
Hi, everybody. I'm a nurse in Cleveland Heights, University Heights. I do not have diabetes, but I encourage my students with type 1 to go to camp, and I've had several of my students go, and they've had a really fantastic time. So thank you all for having that.
Emily and Mom, since you're just joining us back, we're just saying our connection either to type 1 or to camp, how we kind of found this, just kind of going around the horn. So why don't you guys go ahead and go next?
So for us, it's both type 1. Emily's newly diagnosed, and I found camp, and I just had to get her in because she needed some people and I needed some people.
Great.
And we were kind of lost and we didn't know what to do. And we found you guys and we're so happy we did.
We're happy to have you. Laura, do you want to go next?
Sure. Hi, I'm Laura. I'm a camp alumni. I was diagnosed when I was 12, so I was at the camp from 1992 to like 96, like the best years of my life. I was so upset when I got too old to go anymore. I just remember being very upset about that. I'm on insulin pens. I did the pump a couple times, but I just had kind of bad luck with it and malfunctions. And then I just prefer shots, and I'm on the Dexcom, but I have a battle with the Dexcom sometimes. It's a love-hate relationship, I think. But yeah, that's about it.
Thank you. Great. Ernie, we want to go next?
Sure. I'm type 1 diabetic. I didn't have diabetes until age 57, so it just goes to show you anyone can get it, I guess. I'm a volunteer at Camp Omnipod Koda with the Lions Club. And let's see, I have a Tandem pump and a Dexcom G6. I don't know what else.
That's great. Ernie helps out a whole lot at camp, does a ton of volunteering there. We were just talking about it. If you just joined, that Lions Club just came out and built this beautiful ramp for us, a wheelchair ramp, did a lot of staining in the cabins, helped repair and replace some split rail fence. So I'm very thankful to have him around and his wonderful team. So Derek, do you want to go next?
I don't know if I get called on. This is great. All right.
You're getting called on.
So I'm Derek. I've been type 1 since I was 17. So I think this is coming up on 11 years now. Found Camp Koda through my job. I was actually the territory manager for Mankind Corporation. I moved out from Boston to take that job and got connected through Cleveland Clinic. And then now I'm the Eli Lilly rep for Cleveland. So I'll be able to finally bring some pediatric supplies next summer. So I'll actually have value to offer you. And I'm not just the straggler that you pick up off the streets now. So it's good. But yeah, so med staff last year, first summer, and excited to come back again next summer.
Thank you so much. Happy to have you. All right, iPad Pro mystery person, you're next.
Hi. So I'm not really good with Zoom, and I'll be better next time. But my name is Amy Smerglia. My daughter Abby has type 1. She was diagnosed about 2 years ago, and we went to family camp in 2020, and then she went for a week this past summer. And as soon as she got in the car, she said, "Can I go for 2 weeks next summer?" So camp was wonderful for all of us, but she really, really loves camp. And I'm so excited that she has Homey Dakota to go to and just to be able to connect with other kids with type 1. She is on a Dexcom G6 and Omnipod, but we are taking a break from Omnipod right now and going back to the MDI.
Great. Thanks so much for sharing. I see Kim is just connecting in if you want to weigh in.
Sure. Hey folks, my name is Ian Roberts. I'm the executive director out at Camp Homey Dakota. Very excited for you all to join us kind of as we're picking up this brand new support / educational series that we're hoping to offer every month or every other month, sometimes with live folks such as Dr. Blanchette here, and sometimes it's going to be pre-recorded educational sessions. But really we're trying to fill kind of a gap that was left when JDRF kind of moved up to Michigan. So definitely spread the word. We got a lot of really great things lined up. Very happy to see a lot of familiar faces on here and a lot of the campers that we had this summer. Enjoy, ask questions. This is really for you. Give us feedback as to what you liked, what you didn't like, what type of topics you might want to see kind of moving forward. We've got a lot of great things planned, but really want to make sure it's tailored to your wants and needs, whatever that may be moving forward. Camp is great. If you've not been a part of it for a while, or if you have been a part of it, lots of great things are changing. Fully anticipating a COVID 3.0 summer, but we've got through 2 seasons pretty successfully. So check out the website for a lot of the updates. Registration's now open and filling quick. So let us know whatever questions you have, and definitely enjoy your night tonight. And then I think I'll throw it to Kim, who's our last one here. Tyler's pestering you.
And Tyler. Kim and
I
Tyler.
saw him.
He's here, but he's leaving for hockey.
We're just kind of saying how we're connected either to type 1 or camp or both, and just introducing ourselves to everybody here. You're last.
Oh, sorry. I snuck in.
No.
Obviously, I have my camper Tyler here.
Tyler.
My type 1. And that's how we got connected to camp. So, and I'm now part of the board, and I love hearing Julia talk, so I wanted to join in.
You're so kind.
Perfect. Well, thanks everybody for sharing. Really appreciate it. Help kind of get to know everybody a little bit more if you don't know each other. Julia did a nice job of introducing herself already, but like she said, Dr. Julia Blanchette is a diabetes care and education specialist, a nurse scientist, works for university hospitals. She also has been wearing technology a long time. She's been a CGM and pump trainer for multiple companies, knows all of the systems inside and out. It's just a great resource and a friend to have for camp, and every type 1 should have one of her. So without further ado, I'll let her take over and kind of provide the content here.
Cool. So I do have some slides, and I was going to kind of like just give you guys an overview of all of the current commercially available systems on the market. But before I do that, I kind of want to just go around and have each of you kind of just tell me what your experience has been like with diabetes technology. We'll try not to take too long, but if you could just say if you're using it or if someone you care for is using it, and if there's any like big burning question you want answered tonight. So you can start with Margie.
I have a couple of students. Mainly I'm loving that they have the Dexcom 6 and follower app, so I can see what they're doing on my iPad at work. I have one student who's going through puberty and it's not pretty. So I have an idea when, if she's not really paying attention, I can see what's happening. I'm like, okay, you need to have a snack right now. But just really keeping track of that. So that's a huge benefit for me as a school nurse, being able to see what my kiddos are doing.
And then is there any burning question that you have for tonight?
No, I just wanted to hear what the overview was on, any other new technology. My kiddos have had everything from the Tandems to the Medtronic 670Gs. Cool. Sometimes we're switching back and forth. So it's been interesting.
Okay, cool. All right, Ernie.
Well, I've tried different pumps. I started with Medtronic. I've tried Omnipod. I had a lot of problems with infusion sets, but one day I got so frustrated because I changed infusion sets 5 or 6 times in one day, and my blood sugar. I gave myself all kinds of insulin. I was still at 400. Somehow I just wasn't getting it. But I've had 95% of the time good luck with the infusion set I'm using with the Tandem pump. That was my biggest concern. I don't know. I love the technology, but I think I realized a long time ago that just my own behavior has a lot to do with good control. Diet, exercise, all those things everyone already knows about. But okay.
And I think we just had Kelly join us. So Kelly, if you want to quickly just introduce yourself and tell everyone your connection to diabetes and to camp.
Hi, my name's Kelly. I was diagnosed with diabetes at 2.5. I am now 19, so I've had it for 17 years. My connection through Koda Connections is my mom's on the board there, and yeah.
Cool. Well, thanks for joining us, Kelly.
Yep.
Awesome. So we'll go to Laura next with the technology experience and any burning questions.
So I was on the pump, I was on Medtronic pumps. I was on 2 different ones, and it was at least 10 years ago. And one of the times it malfunctioned on me when I was on my honeymoon, actually, in the middle of the ocean, just decided to stop working, and it was kind of crazy. And the other thing when I was on them is I had DKA twice. So I don't know if it was a kink in the tubing. I don't know if it was scar tissue where it was going in my abdomen. I'm not sure, but yeah. So then I just kind of called it quits with the pump, and I'm very happy to be on insulin pens now. And then the Dexcom, my love-hate relationship is because my skin does not like it sometimes, and I'll get really red and welts, and sometimes even a bruise or something under it. But I guess my burning question though about the Dexcom is that the G5 I think was a lot more waterproof, and the G6 does not seem to be as waterproof. And I think what happens is I shower and moisture gets in there, and that starts the irritation. So if anyone has tips, I feel like I've tried a lot of things, but I I get kind of upset that they made it less waterproof.
Yeah, so I can actually answer that question real quick.
Yeah.
So they did change the adhesive between the G5 to the G6, and actually, from my understanding, the G6 initially had slightly different adhesive than it has now, from what I understand. So it doesn't stick as well for some people. That is a thing. I personally experienced that myself. I noticed I have to use more skin tack. With the G6, do you ever use a barrier wipe that's sticky, or sometimes it's not wipe? Sometimes you can use it's like a spongy application. It's called skin tack. Have you tried that?
Yeah. So I have the bottle, like the liquid. It's basically like it. I don't think that made much of a difference. I actually started using the Flonase, like spraying Flonase there.
That's another tip. Yeah.
And I think that helped more than like using the skin prep or whatever. I've tried like a barrier, like underneath it. And that just seemed like more to do than I wanted to.
Yeah.
Sometimes I just want to simply just put it on and not worry about something underneath at the same time. But yeah, I mean, lately it hasn't been as bad, but it gets really, really itchy. I hate it. I hate how itchy it gets.
Yeah.
Wait 10 days. There's nothing you can do.
So the Flonase tip for anyone that knows anyone or has like issues with any adhesive from any of the devices. So what the Flonase does is it is technically a smaller dose steroid. So what you're doing is you're basically not steroid. Wow, what is wrong with me? I'm sorry. It's after work hours here. It's an antihistamine. So when you're spraying it, you're basically making yourself kind of like less allergic essentially beforehand, right? And so instead of it going into your nose, it's going right on top of your skin. And so it kind of helps reduce the irritation before it happens. So.
Do you know though why they made it like less waterproof than the G5? Like how moisture gets in?
I think the tape itself is just a little more porous. I don't think that was like an intention though, if that makes sense. And I think that just had to do with them changing the adhesive.
Yeah, I didn't remember moisture getting in at all with the G5.
Yeah. So.
Thank you.
Yeah, no problem. All right. Up next, Emily, and Emily's mom. I can't remember your name. I'm sorry.
Jessica. Hi.
Jessica.
So go ahead.
So like sometimes like when I shower for my Dexcom, I have a G6. And sometimes when it's like fully clipped in, like soap and like water would get inside of it. And like it always irritates me because it's like really itchy and stuff.
Okay.
But, I'm getting the Omnipod and I forgot what I was gonna say.
That's okay. Do you want me? Can I go for a little bit and then you can think about what you want to say? Okay. Emily does have the Dexcom and she's been using the pen now, and we did get her the Omnipod, and she's going to be starting with that on December 10th.
Awesome.
And then, what's that?
I said awesome.
Yeah. So she's really excited about that, and I am too. We're looking forward to getting that started. One burning question I have about this Dexcom is, does everyone else have the same issues as we do with the sensors like falling off? Or like, I swear to God, I call there like at least once a week and get a new sensor sent to me. Is that normal? Like,
so let me ask you a few questions if that's okay. So Emily, when do you put the Dexcom on? Is it after you shower, or is it like just at a random?
Yeah, after like it would come out, I would like wait 5 to 10 minutes so my arm could like breathe.
Well, we put it on a different arm usually.
Yeah,
but do you ever put it on after a shower?
I think I've done it once.
Okay, yeah, because don't do that. If you do that, try not to do that, because basically your skin is more moist at that time. And so if you ever do that, it can cause it to kind of peel off more easily. The other thing is, do you use any lotion or anything?
No.
No lotion. Okay. Sorry, this is a weird question, but I'm gonna ask it. Do you feel like you sweat a lot?
What?
Do you sweat a lot?
Mostly when I run, but
Do
normally
you run as like a sport?
no. When I'm like playing with my friends at recess or something.
Okay,
I'll run.
got it. Okay.
No, she does have sensitive skin too. And like, you know, I got the over patches and she's not really a fan of the ones that Dexcom gives you. So I got these like grips.
Yeah, the gift grip. Yeah.
Yeah. And they're great for keeping it on,
Mhm.
but like she has like a big welt when it comes off
Mhm.
and it'll stay there for like a week and it's very sensitive. And I know even after she wears the grip for like 5 days, she starts getting really, really itchy and it starts to get like aggravated. And then she starts itching it. And then next thing you know, 2 days later, it's falling off.
Have you guys tried the Flonase trick yet?
No, I never even heard of that.
You
So
should. I would go buy some Flonase, and what you're gonna do is you're gonna spray it onto like you know what those pads you use like for nail polish remover?
Yeah.
Like I always like you kind of just like put the little pad on it and you like squirt it out onto the pad, and then you can rub that Flonase directly onto her skin, or you can just spray the Flonase right onto her skin. Whatever works better. You'll let it dry. Try that underneath first. I think the issue seems to be she's itching it because it's so itchy that maybe that's causing the tape to come off. So try the Flonase, see if it makes it less itchy, and then that might solve the issue with it coming off. And I would even put it under the gift grip tape too.
Okay. Yeah, we're gonna
I
try
would do
that.
it for all of that.
But my brother has asthma, and we already have some. It's like in
good.
kind of
Yeah.
thing.
So we're gonna use his.
Yeah, just clean it off because if it's been in his nose, you might not. Clean off with an alcohol swab first.
Yeah.
Cool.
Okay.
Awesome. All right. Well, and then do you have any questions about like the Omnipod before I go over everything? What's your biggest question about it?
My biggest question is that if it like mouth, I've heard that if like a pump or an Omnipod malfunctions, it'll just give you all the insulin. Is that true?
That won't happen.
Okay.
They do a lot of things. They do a lot of things at the factory to make sure that there's all these things in place so that even if it malfunctions, it can't keep delivering you insulin. It actually stops delivering you insulin when it realizes that there's something wrong with it. It'll stop completely. And that prevents it, that stops it from giving you everything, right? So
Yeah.
so you don't have to worry about that. They're very much on top of that to keep you safe.
Yeah, but I have one more question about the Dexcom. So
Okay, just one more, and then we have to move on to the next person.
But my Dexcom, like I can't remember what it's called, but like the gray thing.
The transmitter.
Yeah, the transmitter. It will like it'll say on my phone, it's like down, and it says to wait for like 3 hours. It happens like a lot.
Do you notice it happens when your blood sugar is going up and down?
Yeah.
So what that's saying is it's not detecting your blood sugar the right way, and it's not confident that it can give you a reading. And sometimes that happens. We notice it happens in kids sometimes when their blood sugar is going up and down fast. And that you can't prevent sometimes, right? But the other time it does it is if you're dehydrated in adults. A lot of times, adults sometimes get that if they're not drinking enough water. That could be happening to you sometimes.
Isn't there like aspirin or Tylenol affects it as well, or something?
Only in really high doses for the G6.
Only what?
Only in very high doses for the G6.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
So if she like had some Tylenol or something, it wouldn't really.
You'd have to be taking a lot. So I wouldn't. It's not a kid dose amount of it.
Like a Motrin 800 or something might.
Yeah, no, it's more. So yeah, it shouldn't do anything. Cool. Okay, well now my screen order got messed up here, but we can go to Derek next.
So I'll keep it brief. Am I here? Can you hear me?
Yeah, you're good now.
Okay. So use the Omnipod, also use the Dexcom, and actually used to work for Omnipod at corporate. So got some internal knowledge, but yeah, that's my experience.
Yeah. So Emily, if you have even more questions, you can reach out to Derek. Cool. What's your burning question of the night?
I just want to see it all. I don't have any burning questions, Julie.
Okay, cool. Cool. All right, Kim.
What was the question?
Okay, I don't have questions. But our experience with technology is we're on the G6. He did the G5 before, and then he was on Animas, and we went to Omnipod, and now we are actually on the Omni 5 for the trials, which we love. So I know, Julia, you actually don't have experience with that.
Well, I do from camp.
Oh, yes. But it's,
yeah.
I mean, it's been a game changer for us. We were actually very gung ho on the T-Slim when making the change from Animas, but Tyler was old enough to sit down and actually listen to all the reps and make the decision himself. And he wanted to be tubeless, which we were hesitant with because he has bad sensitivity to skin issues. We do not use Flonase. It never worked.
So Kim, what do you guys use? What tips do you have?
Well, we only keep pods on for 2 days for skin issues for one reason. It was hard to get it approved by insurance. I mean, we haven't had to do that in a couple of years, but because of the study.
Yeah.
But that was a tricky thing with pods where that was not the case with other pump. You know, with the Animas, it was never an issue to do every 2 days, which we did it with that too. Dexcom, we don't have the issues with. We don't really get skin issues with Dexcom. The adhesive is different. We actually saw an allergist to try to determine what differences there were. He actually reached out to companies and everything and
cool.
Which he got nowhere.
It's probably all trade secrets.
Yeah.
But I can tell you all of the adhesives are different. They all, like, if you're okay with one, you may or may not be okay with the other. So I can tell everyone that confidently, but we just don't know necessarily what's really in them.
I would say our Omnipods were not very different than the insets with Animas, except for the fact that it's more skin area. So it affects more space. But we change our pods every 2 days. We have no issues with the Dex. We keep it on for 10 days. Yes, we do get water in it. I mean, every now and then it does get moisture. What I do is we get the adhesive passes from from Dexcom, but we don't put it on day one. We use glue, but then we put it on when it starts to fall off. Like
wait, which glue do you use?
We use the skin glue. What's it called? I don't know. It's like it's not the
skin
white.
Tack? It's not Skin Tack?
It might be Skin Tack. It's Skin Tack. It is Skin Tack.
With the swab on it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
We do use the Skin Tack, but then we don't put the overlay patch on. We do his arms until it starts coming off. Sometimes that's day 4. Some days it's day 9. If there's a lot of swimming happening, it probably is day 3. And then sometimes it doesn't last 10, but mostly it does. Yeah. And then we also, it depends when I say swimming or super active, like he has hockey and baseball. If he's catching, if he's behind the plate for 2 games in a weekend, he's going to be sweating a lot and he might need it sooner. We do also put vet wrap on his arm when he swims.
That's the other really great tip.
We just vet wrap his arm no matter what when he's swimming.
And if you have kids that come to camp, a lot of times we'll send them home with the wrap around their Dexcom, or if they have a pod on their arm, because sometimes that's the only thing that we can get on to actually get the adhesive to stick in the summer and in the water.
I do still use the glue in the summer, and then I put the tape over it. But I even in the summer, I don't put the whatever. I don't even know what it's called from Dexcom.
It's called It's called the over tape.
The overlay or whatever. I still don't put it on until it starts coming off in the summer. I just wait because that will start coming off in.
Yeah, actually, I've noticed sometimes if you put all the like tapes on at once, sometimes it'll start peeling off the other tape. And so sometimes it does make more sense, depending, like, you know, try what works for you. But I find too, it makes more sense to put it on when it's actually peeling off, because then that tape has to then peel off right over the next few days, opposed to it like peeling everything off. So
What's that wrap called? What did you say the wrap
It's
is?
called Vet Wrap. It's like
VET?
I ordered on Amazon, but I think if you search Vet Wrap, it's like self-adhesive. Like sometimes
also called
they use it when you get your
Coban.
blood drawn and stuff to put the, you know, I probably have some I can even show.
It's called, you can also look up Coban, COBAN.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Maybe I'll do that when I shower. We'll keep the moisture out.
Yeah. I was going to suggest that, but I didn't want to ask if you wore it on your arm since it's technically off label.
Oh, yeah.
But
I used to do my stomach, but now it's my arm.
I mean, mine's on my arm right now too. So yeah, I get it.
Only breaking the rules.
Cool. All right, let's move on to the next person. So iPad Pros, or is your name Amy? Was someone's name Amy?
Yeah.
Awesome. So tell us a little bit about your technology experience and what's your number one burning question?
So Abby uses Dexcom and Omnipod. I don't know if I have a burning question, but she just got tired of the Omnipod, the weight of it on her arm or her leg, and she doesn't have to use her belly, and so she just felt like she needed a break. So about a week ago, we started a break. I guess my question really would be, is there a time frame that's best to take a break from the pump? Like, is it good to take a couple weeks, a month? Is just a week enough? Like, can she pretty much just go back to the pump whenever she's ready?
Yeah, so that's a really good question. And I want to say the time frame is really individualized. So it's whatever she needs to kind of like, you know, re-energize herself and be able to deal with whatever was annoying her about it being on her body again. And that could be a week for some people, but it could be, you know, a month. So I would say the only thing to do is I wouldn't switch back during a time when there's like a lot of change happening. So like a bad time to switch honestly would be like the week school starting, for example, or like the week you're going on vacation, right? Like those are times when it's going to be trickier. Also, the other thing I'm just gonna put this out there, it's also really not good to make a big change the week before camp. Fun fact. So just saying that, because that actually happens a lot. But yeah, so whenever she's ready again is, so yeah. All right. Burning question. Did we?
I grabbed a Vet Wrap if you want to see. It comes in a little roll, just so you guys can see. And it sticks to itself.
Cool.
So.
Thanks, Kim. We already asked the burning question, so I'm going to go on to Kelly next.
I don't think I really have a burning question. It's more of like I find that on my Dexcom, it gets very itchy, but I don't have like sensitive skin like a lot of like others, but it gets red, and like sometimes like it loses for me it loses its connection a lot, and I don't know if that's just because of the like. So I'm in college. I'm taking a college class on the weekends, and the place where it is has horrible internet, and my mom's like OCD about my blood sugars when she's not with me. And
sounds like a typical mom of a college student. So
it's great. And I just like, she'll text me in the middle of class like, "What's your blood sugar?" I'm like, "I'm in class. I can't text you," but I know she's like looking out for me. So like, how do I handle that?
That's a great question. So first thing, when this is happening, are you connected to Wi-Fi?
My phone says I am.
It says you are, and you're still getting the signal off?
Yeah.
So is it an older building?
No.
No.
I mean,
Okay,
it's
'cause-
not like from the 1900s. It's fairly
It looks
new.
newer. Okay. Because sometimes older buildings, just fun fact, sometimes they seem to block some of the signal, and I don't know what that is. I learned that at camp actually with a personal experience. But the other thing too is sometimes there's a lot of like people on Bluetooth in the same location. Sometimes that can interfere a little bit. The best thing you can do, Kelly, is keep it as close to you as possible, which I'm sure you're doing, right? And also what I'd recommend with your mom is maybe you should text her at the beginning of class what your blood sugar is, and you should say, hey, I'm 180 and steady, right? And I'm going to class now. I think maybe just giving her the updates so that she's not sitting there panicking when she doesn't see a blood sugar, and she knows, okay, she just started class and this is what she was, and she had a steady arrow, or she was, 200 and going up. Okay, she won't have a low, hopefully.
Which I know she is panicking. Well, not panicking, but concerned.
Yeah.
Because she doesn't want to pick me up and me being passed out in a corner.
Right. But I would just send her an update in the beginning of class, and then maybe if there's a break from class, if you can see if people are really getting up to go to the bathroom or something, if that helps you get more signal, because many people aren't in the room. Do you have breaks in the class? I was just assuming that.
Yeah, we do get breaks, and the only time I can get a signal if I go outside.
Are you able to go? Are you able to get outside? Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, we get multiple breaks, but
okay.
Yeah.
It must be that there's too many people or something, because
I think it is, but there's only 8 of us, so I don't know how that's too many people.
Mysteries. All right, so Emily has a question, and then I'm gonna really quickly, not quickly, but I'll go through all of the devices because that's what we're here for. So Emily, what's your question?
My question is that, well, my Dexcom would so it'd be in class, and my Dexcom, so the school nurse has connection to my Dexcom, and I would be dropping, say I'm dropping fast and I'm 120 and it just goes lost signal. So and the nurse calls me down, and I test my sugar, and it's 60 something, and I'm out of juice. What would I do?
Well, I think your school nurse would make sure that you don't run out of juice. But if you did run out of juice, I think maybe you could ask a friend to go find an adult and see if someone else has juice or has something to bring up your blood sugar, right?
Okay.
Or maybe you could have a friend go to the cafeteria and see if they have something in there.
Okay, thank you.
Awesome. All right, I'm going to go on to the little presentation I put together now about all the tech, all the fun stuff. So it's not super exciting. It's literally just pictures of everything. So I'm going to tell you about each device here. So, all right, who knows what this is?
Omnipod.
What type of Omnipod is this?
It's the Dash.
It's the Dash. Okay, so I didn't put on the other Omnipod just because there seems to be a real push to get everyone on this Omnipod right now. And so I know they're pushing really hard for everyone who's starting to be on this one. So this is the Dash. It's a locked smartphone. You use it kind of as a little controller for the pod. The pod holds 200 units of insulin, but there's some creative things that have been done for adults and teenagers in certain situations to get it hold a little more. And you place it anywhere where you could give an injection. I think a lot of you have Omnipod experience, so I'm going to ask what questions do you specifically have about this device? It works as standard insulin pump therapy. So you enter in carbs in your blood sugar. You can enter off of an approved CGM like Dexcom to dose off of, and it'll deliver the insulin just like typical pump therapy. Nothing super fancy on here right now.
Julia, I had a question. We actually have the older version of the Omnipod, and they tried to upgrade us. I deal directly with Omnipod, and they are so fantastic in their customer service. At least that's been my experience, that I didn't want to switch because I didn't want to have to go to the pharmacy. Does anybody have any issues with the pharmacy and getting their pods through the pharmacy, or anybody can speak to that?
I can tell you what some of my patients have experienced if nobody else has anything to add.
I had no issues. I got mine from Express Scripts when we switched over.
You got dashed through?
Mm-hmm. I mean, it was like a prescription versus
Yeah. Yeah.
That was, and it wasn't, I mean, the only difference is I had a copay, which was minimal because, I mean, luckily I have a minimal copay, but I had to get them through Express Scripts as a prescription.
So actually a lot of times we're finding now it can be actually a little bit more accessible than going through a supplier, which is a bright side, but obviously it's not going to be more accessible than going directly through Omnipod. When you guys could go directly through the company and have a good price on it, that's like a dream, but that's kind of happening less and less these days with all of the devices. That's kind of the trend is away from that. So the good news is going through pharmacy, you more than likely will have a lower payment on it. So that's one bright thing. And the other thing is you still get Omnipod customer service for everything else, right? If you have a pod failure, you're still calling the same people that are awesome on their customer service. And a lot of times it's cheaper. And then a lot of times there's actually less barriers on the provider end with the paperwork too, and getting all of that put through on the pharmacy end. So it's easier to just send the prescription opposed to having to wait for all the DME paperwork.
Gotcha. All right. Thank you.
Yeah. Anyone else have any questions? I know I didn't say a lot about it, but I want to go through all of them. I think it looks like we have. Okay. So Marty has some tips in the chat about low blood sugar, Emily, if you and your mom want to read that. Cool. Any other questions here? No. All right. I'm not going to speak about future technology because we have a really cool speaker coming in for another support group meeting who's going to go all into that. And Kim, you should go to that one because you'll have like the real life lived experience. And I think people would love to hear about that. But I will quickly say that there is something new and fun and exciting coming out, hopefully within the next few months from Omnipod that everyone's been anticipating. And it's going to be an automated insulin delivery system. So the Dexcom and the Omnipod will communicate with each other and increase and decrease basals. Okay, why is this not going? Okay, so this here we have Tandem ControlIQ. So it didn't sound to me like anyone had kids on it. I mean, Trina, you do, but.
Yeah, my son is on it and
Okay.
I'm also on it.
Well, yes. So Trina's on it and I'm on it actually right now. But Trina and I have also tried a lot of the different devices, but yes, this is the one we're both currently on. So it is a tubed insulin pump. The infusion sites, you can get a steel infusion site that kind of goes straight in, and sometimes that works a little better than some of the plastic cannula ones that I know some of you guys said that you've had some problems with kinking or going bad. There's also just the typical plastic infusion sites, and then there's like an angled plastic one, which other people have some good luck with too. And these are actually the same or similar sites that the Medtronic insulin pump has as well. They're kind of just the sites that are available for both. They're both from different manufacturers, but this is a Tandem pump. It's really cool because it's updatable. So you basically buy the pump, and then if something new comes out for the software, you can plug the pump into the computer, and you'll basically get a prescription. You go into this portal and you are able to actually download the new software onto the pump. So you're basically buying into this, you'll wear the same pump for the 4 years or 5 years, depending on insurance, but you are still able to change how it works, which is kind of like a newer, cool feature. It increases and decreases how much basal insulin is giving you based on your Dexcom trend. So it communicates with Dexcom G6. And it has this app, which right now is really just to view what the pump is showing. You can't do anything else cool from it quite yet. And yeah, what questions do you guys have about this?
I have a question.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I think we all struggle with this. So I keep my pump in my bra.
Okay.
And I find sometimes that, or quite frequently, I find that if it gets warm in there, that it says it can't connect. Like it
Yes.
can't read my blood sugar. Why does that happen?
So there's actually a little thing on the back of your pump, and it's supposed to be like an altitude sensor. And if it gets blocked, it actually shows signal loss, or sometimes it'll give you the altitude error. So my recommendation is if you clip your pump facing you, like if the screen is facing your body, that actually can help cut off the signal essentially to Dexcom as well. So what you want to do is you actually, if you're clipping it somewhere attached to your body, like I have it on my, I'm wearing like stockings because I'm wearing a dress. So I have it like clipped on the top of my stockings. You want to face the screen out no matter where you're clipping it. So even if you're clipping it on your bra, you're going to face the screen outwards. Does that make sense?
Yeah, but I also find I've done that because I thought that too, and it will still get warm and tell me that it can't find its signal.
And I think that's the altitude issue kicking in.
Okay.
So what you could do, you could try clipping it. Do you ever clip it like in the middle part, like with the clip actually, so that it's a little further away from your body and still probably won't show as much?
No.
No?
Would you
be open to trying that?
I do it right here. So, I mean, there's a little bit of space, but
I think if you can get it somehow a little further away from your body, because your body's warm and it gives off warmth, right? So if you can somehow get it a little bit further away, it'll give it a little more breathing room.
All right. Thank you.
Cool. Yeah, you're welcome. What other questions do you guys have? Anyone have any questions about this? No? Okay, cool. So I'm gonna move on to actually I think the next page is kind of showing the algorithm. This is just showing how it works. So it'll increase basal insulin when the blood glucose is predicted to be above 160. It'll deliver an automatic correction bolus of 60% of the calculated dose based on the correction factor or sensitivity factor once an hour, every hour. If glucose is predicted to be above 180, it'll just give what's programmed into the pump if the blood glucose is between 112.5 and 160 and predicted to stay there. And then it'll start decreasing if you're predicted to be below 112.5, and it'll suspend if you're predicted to be under 70. And it does these 30-minute predictions. That's how it works. And then the next pump here we have is the Medtronic 770G. Are you guys familiar with this one? It's like the 670. It looks just like the 670, but it has the phone app feature, which is really nice because, I think the one downside of the 670 for a while was that especially kids couldn't share their glucose. And so the 770, it's the same algorithm. It's the same looking pump, but it has Bluetooth in it. And the transmitter has Bluetooth in it as well. And so it's able to connect to the app, and you can share blood glucose data through it, just like with the Dexcom app. And the only thing, so the sensors are the same, but the transmitter is different than with the 670. And the only difference is that it has Bluetooth. The algorithm works differently than the Tandem pump. What it does, these are all like secrets, it's not very clear, but basically it looks at your total insulin needs over a certain period of time. So it's like, it recalculates it like once a day at like 11 something PM near midnight. And it looks at your past few days of insulin use. And that's kind of how it determines how it's going to calculate how much to increase and decrease your blood sugar, in addition to how your blood sugar is trending. So it's not based off of what's programmed into the pump as much as the Tandem ControlIQ is, except for the carb ratio. So it kind of does its own thing based on the insulin that you're using, and it tries to figure out what's safe for you. And you can see, like, this is just showing that it'll increase your basal as your blood sugar is increasing. And then it kind of like stops it if it predicts you're going to be low. And that concept is the same as the Tandem pump. It just uses different calculations. Do you guys have any questions about this?
I don't have a question specifically about the different algorithms or anything, but I did have kind of a general question about technology, Jewel.
Yeah.
So my son that has diabetes is about to turn 15. He was diagnosed when he was 6, just for some reference. He wears a Tandem now. He has worn Medtronic and Omnipod in the past. The alarms and alerts are very helpful, but just like Amy was kind of talking about, with a little bit of tech burnout, maybe with taking a break, he doesn't necessarily want to take a break, but a lot of times he'll ignore his alarms, or he'll turn the sound off so that he doesn't hear them.
Okay.
So I was just thinking maybe it would be helpful to kind of ask about that, like when you start ignoring your alarms or get burnout on your alarms, not necessarily the pump itself, but just the alarms that it can do.
Yeah, that's a really good question. And, so tech burnout's real. No one wants something that's beeping all the time. Kids want to be kids. They want to do normal things. They don't want to be thinking about what they're eating all the time and pre-bolusing and doing this and that we have to do to take care of diabetes. It's the normal, it's a normal developmental process for teenagers to do that. But I think with alarms, what the best thing you can do is to kind of figure out when it's alarming and why. And so if it's alarming because the boluses are missed, that's going to take a lot of work. But what you can do, the one thing you can do is raise the target a little bit, right? And so like the idea, we technically really want the high and lows to be at levels where we would treat our blood sugar. But if it's getting to a point where someone's burnt out and like isn't doing anything about it anyways, you can raise that high blood sugar target. Especially if you're like Trina and, she's a parent who's involved in like kind of watching him to make sure he's not high enough that he's going into DKA or something like that. But it's always okay to take a technology break. You just have to go back to the basics and you have to have that backup plan in place. So you can't just like switch, right? And just, give yourself random amounts of insulin. We don't want that, but definitely work with your diabetes provider to figure out what your backup plan is if you need that tech break. And sometimes kids need those tech breaks, especially teenagers, because they're not dealing with their technology anyways, and then it's just beeping and alarming and annoying them, right? And so you might as well get them, whatever they feel is most helpful for them. Do you have any tips being a mom, Trina?
Yeah. So one of the things that I find, at least with Caden, is that he gets very frustrated if I ask him about his diabetes a lot.
Yes,
and I get it, because he doesn't want his whole world to be surrounded by that. Even though I'm worried, just like Kelly was saying, her mom is worried and she knows she's just worried about her. So I make it a point that if I do need to ask him something about his diabetes, especially like in the morning when I want to know like how his blood sugar is, I make it a point to talk about other things first. So we try and do at least 3 other things that I talk about. And he doesn't know that I do this, but I do this specifically. So I ask him, like, how did he sleep? Does he have anything going on at school today? Or what time does wrestling practice end or something? And we'll talk about other things, or, if he's worried about anything or whatever it may be, so that his whole conversation with me is not about diabetes. And then I kind of insert it in there later when I do need to ask about it. So I'll ask him about it then. Like, oh, by the way, just like as an offhand thing, how's your blood sugar this morning?
Yeah, I can remember from when I was a teenager, it was like my pet peeve. It annoyed me more than anything when an adult, no matter who it was, but particularly my parents, were like, how's your blood sugar today? I'm like, how do you think? But I do think it's really important to remind people that they are more than diabetes and that is not their whole life. And another thing, I think another tactic, instead of just like asking like, how are your blood sugars today? You could say, what sucks about diabetes today? Like, how are you feeling today? Like, what's bothering you? Like, asking questions more like that, opposed to just what's your blood sugar, I think can really help too. So cool. Okay. So
absolutely, because if he was asking me all the time, Mom, what's your blood sugar? What's your blood sugar? I'd be irritated too.
Right. So. Yeah. I mean, as an adult, I had to remove my dad on the follow app because he kept texting me about it. And I was like, stop. But yeah, so I'm going to go through the CGMs real quick here before we kind of wrap up. I skipped over Dexcom because I think, has everyone on this call had experience with Dexcom? Does anyone feel they need me to go over the G6? No. Okay. And then the Guardian, which I skipped over the slide before because I just kind of talked about it a little bit with. Oh,
I have a question about my G6.
Okay. What's your question?
So say that, crap, I forgot.
If you think of it, you can let us know, okay?
You can always type it in the chat too.
Yeah,
that way you won't forget.
Yeah. So, okay, so we're good on the G6. The Guardian I kind of skipped over. So they do have a standalone CGM. I don't know a lot of people that are on it. I mostly know people that are using that Medtronic Guardian with one of the Medtronic insulin pumps, but they do have a version that works with a phone app. There's no receiver and it can go right to the phone, but it does require 2 blood glucose calibrations a day at this point. And then this is the Libre 2, which I find kind of exciting because it's approved in kids. And for a while, there weren't a lot of CGM options for kids. But the cool thing about it is that it's cheaper. So if you were to like have an issue where you needed CGM access and we're having an insurance issue, sometimes this is a little bit easier to get. But basically what you have to do is you have to press this button or on your phone, scan it every 8 hours to get like the continuous glucose graph. And it's not like Dexcom where you look down and it shows you this number on the screen unless you're pressing the button. It's called kind of like a flash glucose monitor. But it does still give you high and low alerts, which is wild. Like, so it's not going to show you what your blood sugar is doing, but it'll alert you saying low blood sugar, scan now. And then you'll press the button and then it'll tell you what your blood sugar is. This is particularly nice for adults who are wanting to try CGM, but kind of not sure if they can commit. And a lot of times this is available at a local pharmacy, which is like a really great benefit too. And it's tiny and it's approved for the back of the arm. It's kind of like the size of a quarter, but it's not quite that thin. So what questions do you guys have about this? Oh, there is a phone app too. Sorry, I spoke too soon. There's a phone app that's not shown here, but you can also get a receiver. Any questions
I can
about
just say
this?
that I did wear it for a little while when I was in between insurance stuff, and I scanned it all the time. So it was almost like wearing a Dexcom because I just kept scanning it like anytime I thought about it.
It was like fun. It was like, I can't see my blood sugar. Let me scan. Yeah. Yeah. And it's also an option if you're having like adhesive issues to Dexcom to try this and vice versa. And it's approved for kids over the age of 4, I believe. So any questions? No questions? I'll move on to the last one.
I have a question. I'm sorry if you already said this, but is it possible to follow that? Like if like as a parent, is it possible to follow that information on your phone or no?
Yeah, there is, but it's not quite the same as Dexcom. Like it doesn't give you the high and low alerts in the same way. Okay. It's kind of like you can view it, but it's not, you can view it, right? But it's not quite the same.
Okay.
Yeah. All right. And the last one, I don't know if you guys have heard of this. It's called the Eversense, and it's actually an implantable, it's implantable, and it's not approved in kids. It's approved in 18 and over right now. But it's this little thing. It's kind of like the size of a really big, long piece of rice and a little bit fatter. So it's very tiny. It goes, it's kind of just like implanted in your arm, and then you wear this thing over it. And this is actually smaller than an Omnipod. And it works with this app here, and it's actually the most accurate CGM. And that's because it uses a different type of technology. It uses this light sensing type of way to look at glucose. And the only thing that's a downside is that you still do have to calibrate it twice a day, which you don't have to do with the Libre or the Dexcom. And there's no receiver available. So but that could be a benefit for certain people. So any questions about this? I saw it in person last week.
Yeah, but that's cool. Just in something we.
That's okay. I was just going to ask how long you leave that black thing on the over. Do you have to switch it out every so often?
Yeah, so this black thing, so you do have to take it off and charge it like once a day, but it literally needs like, if you're charging it every day, it's like a 3 to 5 minute charge. It's like very quick. And then there's like a tape, and it's a different type of tape too. So like a lot of people that have severe tape allergy do actually a lot better with this tape. It's kind of like a gel-like tape instead of the super, I don't know, whatever the other tapes use. And then so the transmitter sticks onto the tape.
And then the piece that's implanted, how long does that stay there?
Right now it's 90 days. But they are coming out with something newer and cooler that's out in Europe. So 180 hopefully sometime will come out here too. So which is 6 months.
I have a question.
Yeah.
But this one, so my when I can't remember what night, but one night like it was like 4 a.m, and my Dexcom said I was 40 and double dropping, and it went to lost signal. So my mom tested me and it said I was 168, and the signal came back on and it still said I was 40.
So you know what? This is such a great thing that you brought up. Sometimes when we're sleeping, we lay on our sensors. Do you know what happens when you lay right on your Dexcom sensor for a long period of time? So what happens is you actually lose some of the blood that's usually circulating can't get to the sensor. And so what happens is it shows your blood sugars really low, but it's not actually, it's called a compression low. And those happen at overnight a lot. So that's, when you see something like that, you're going to want to go by the finger stick reading.
Oh, okay. Good. That's good to know. Thank you.
Yeah. And if that happens too, another thing you can do is try to move around, sit up for a minute, give it like 5 to 10 minutes to see if it
Comes
resolves.
back.
Oh, okay. Thank you. That's good to know.
So I think it's we're wrapping up here.
Yeah. Quick question for you, Julia, because I think it's important. So I've run into this a bunch, and it's a technology related thing where maybe my physician wasn't that well versed in the technology, or didn't understand how they worked, or didn't have a lot of patience on them, just because I, was diagnosed as an adult and things like that. And so what's a good way to approach a provider who maybe isn't as well versed in the technology?
Yes, and I was going to get into that, but I see my my family is looking hungry, and so I just told them you can start eating. It's okay. So I was feeling a little side note, full disclosure, I was feeling a little bit bad about that. So because I thought 7:30 maybe, but I can keep talking. I can talk forever about technology. Essentially, this happens a lot, right? I think especially with adults, maybe not as much with kids. I think with kids, if you're seeing a pediatric endocrinologist, they're usually really well trained and really on top of the technology. But in the adult world, unfortunately, it's not as much like that. So if your provider doesn't know about technology and you're like me or Trina, what we've done in the past is you don't want to come off in a way that's like you don't know anything, like you don't know about this technology, and make them feel offended. But what I've done is I've printed out like articles from reputable websites like Diatribe, who you guys have heard of that, or like Beyond Type 1, and I've been like, this is really cool. I want to try it because of this reason. What do you think about that? And you kind of use that as a way to open up a conversation. And if, I've had situations where my provider may not have heard of it, and then they start asking me questions. And that's a nice, comfortable way to kind of get the conversation going. If you're okay and you're comfortable with bringing it to them, if that makes sense. Yeah.
I ask a quick general question about the pumps. Like out of all the pumps, what do you think is the smallest, the part that attaches to you? Which one do you think would be the smallest?
So you mean the infusion set?
Yeah, like the part that goes, like, I still think about going back to the pump, but I don't want so many apparatuses attached to me. So I guess if it's the smallest.
Have you tried the Omnipod? Not that it's the smallest thing that it's like, not
I have
the
not.
smallest cannula, but so if you want the Omnipod reps, and Derek probably can back me up on this, they love you wanting to learn about their product. So next time you go to the endo, if you ask if you can get like a trial of the Omnipod, they'll give you one so that you can wear it with it doesn't have insulin in it. You kind of just wear it like a patch.
I think I've gotten that demo before and I never put it on. Like
so you should put it on. You should put it on because then you'll actually be able to see if it's like annoying or not, you know?
Yeah, that's good because I would want to try it first.
Because I think that's going to probably be the least, which is as someone that's worn both, I think that Tyler could probably agree with me on this, that you know, it's less annoying, I think, than carrying around the tubing, right? So
yeah. He says he's never going back, so
okay.
Yeah.
He's very active as well. He's a very, very active child. He plays hockey, he plays baseball, and when he's not doing one of those things, he does not watch TV on a couch. He watches TV on a balance board. So
he's always on the move.
He doesn't sit still.
Does the do they have to be far apart from each other, like the Dexcom and the Omnipod, or can they be next to each other?
They can't be right next to each other, but like, so it looks like you kind of have your Dexcom on your inner arm. You could put, if you wanted to use the same arm, you could put it on your, like on the other side. It just has to be a few inches, has to be a few inches away. And that's because you don't want the insulin to get picked up by the sensor, and you don't want the sensor to give you a false reading.
That makes sense.
Yeah.
The Omni 5, you do need to have them within the same plane of your body.
Yeah, and that's honestly the same thing for Tandem. Do you have to click the pump on the same side as the where the Dexcom sensor is to get the best reading? So I think that seems to be something that's going to be a thing, because when two devices are communicating like that all the time, you don't want it to lose signal, and it just seems to work better.
Yeah, it hasn't affected us much, but I think for adults, it affects adults more. For kids, it's close enough. And even Tyler, who's, I mean, he's almost my height now, so, which I'm not tall, but it's not a hard task. But it hasn't really affected him hugely, but I do know that they do that for adults. They said that.
Yeah, that makes sense. So.
Hey, can I chime in real quick for Laura?
Yes, please.
All right, so Laura, so one thing you can do is you can actually do a free trial. They were doing a free trial program right when I left, where you can actually get like an actual live working pod as well. I forget.
Wait, but hold on. Let me ask you a question, and this is being recorded, so this is kind of a scary question to ask on here. Laura, where do you live, and who's your, like, do you live in like the Cleveland area?
Yes, I'm Cleveland. Yeah.
So some of the reps might be a little aggressive if you do that. I hope this doesn't go to public. So I just wanted to put that out there. So like, you might want it, as what Derek is saying is very true, but just think about that. You don't want to talk to someone that's then gonna like not let you say no if you don't like it.
Oh, like a car salesman, like you gotta get it now.
Yeah. So what they'll do, Laura,
is to cut this short, but.
Well, I was just gonna say, Laura, what they'll do is they'll do a benefits check for you for coverage, like when you get the trial, to see if you can actually get started like as a full-time user, and then they'll contact you regarding that. But yeah, so it's an option. One extra plug I want to put out there, and I don't work for Omnipod anymore, so just full disclaimer, this does not help me in any way. But
where do I go? The website for that?
Yeah.
Like if I want, okay.
Yeah. Also, because it's a pharmaceutical benefit, it's not going to cap you from having, if you wanted to try it and actually fill a prescription, it's not going to restrict you from an insurance standpoint to get a durable medical pump like a Tandem or Medtronic. So the Omnipod is its own little thing in the pharmaceutical channel. It's not going to lock you in if you.
Yeah, it doesn't lock you in, which is a beautiful thing if you wanted to try it.
Okay, cool. Thank you.
I have a question right now.
Yeah.
I'm wearing a port right now. Have you heard of them?
Port.
Yeah. So you inject your insulin through this?
Yeah. And it's like sometimes like bugs me. Like where I right now I have it on my stomach, and it's like time to time it like itch right where it is in.
Like at the needle part?
Yeah.
I've been trying
I think you need Flonase with your Omnipod when you start that. I think your skin might get itchy easily.
Yeah, it does.
I've been trying to make her wear that.
That's a really good over patch. You guys were having some trouble, right? Is it Jessica?
Yep.
So Lexcam is the brand, and it's so much like Tegaderm sort of. I really love it. I don't know if you can tell, it's like clear.
Yeah.
So, and I wait till the Dexcom is starting to be loose, and then I put this over it, but that part doesn't bother my skin like at all. It's very, very thin, like Tegaderm. But the brand is Lexcam, and I got it off Amazon.
Okay.
She might really
But like,
what? You like the colorful ones?
yeah, but
Oh,
you can get, Emily, you can get stickers for your Dexcom transmitter that are colorful.
Yeah, we've had one of those.
Yeah.
We've had some of those too.
yeah, it would like make my Dexcom, the transmitter, like really sticky.
Oh,
That's okay. I cleaned it up with some rubbing alcohol.
Yeah, but when I would like take it off, it would be like the glue
It would turn like black.
Yeah, and my grandma heard of like alcohol wipes. If you like rub it and it doesn't work, it stays on there for like a week.
Oh, okay. The other thing with the port is I don't know what the cannula size is, but I do if I can remember correctly, I think it might be a little bigger and it could be a little more irritating than the other infusion sites.
I've been trying to like make her wear it just because she's going to be starting on the Omnipod, and I think like having the port for 3 days is going to be the same, and she's got to get used to because she like literally just switches her Dexcom from arm to arm, and now she's going to have this Omnipod that's got to go on different places of her body that she's not typically used to having something. So I've been trying to force her to do it.
Jessica, the other thing is I think you guys should consider trying to switch the Omnipod every other day if you can get enough supplies, because I think like if she's getting itchy, I think that's a really good solution.
How do you get enough supplies to do that? Because they give you a 30-day supply.
I was gonna ask Kim next, because Kim did it somehow.
I also know too, because I worked in the pediatric endocrinology office. So what you need to do is you need to talk to your doctor's office and let them know that you need to try and get it so that you can change. They need to rewrite the prescription so that you can change it every 2 days. Or every 2 to 3 days or whatever it is. And then they'll submit it with a prior authorization. Usually it takes a little bit of time.
Do you know if it does that through pharmacy, Trina, or if that's just DME?
Oh, that's just DME, but Kim might know through pharmacy.
I had to do it through, it's hard to say for pharmacy because we switched to Dash when we started the study, and we were supposed to go back onto something in 3 months, but that was December of 2019. So we never went back. But prior to that, we had to do it. And that was DME, but because that we got through Edge Park, but we did submit the prior authorization through the doctor's office, but we also had a background of skin irritation issues in our practice.
Yeah, so I think
they denied that though. They did deny it. They denied the nurse's letter. They denied everything. It got to a point that actually, I think Omnipod, I think Edge Park waived like one of the months and didn't charge us because we didn't even know. And then they had to do what they call a peer-to-peer. So our doctor did have to talk to my insurance company to get it approved. And then we had to renew that every year. Since we're on a study, we haven't had to do that. I mean, it was work, but it was like work once a year. And I don't know what hospital you're with, but like for us, it wasn't super hard to get our hospital to do that. I mean,
what hospital do you go to?
I'm at Rainbows. So,
but what, Jessica and Emily?
We are at Troy Beaumont or Royal Oak Beaumont in Michigan.
Oh, you're in Michigan.
Yeah, we're in Michigan.
I don't know the people there as much, but I think they're probably nice. So hopefully.
Yeah, I know they'll definitely try. I was actually really concerned about that with the Omnipod because like I said, her Dexcom sensors, you know, where I'm constantly calling them to get new ones. And I was wondering, like, how do you do that with the Omnipod? Like if she loses it, then what, you know, when it comes off or
Omnipod will replace it too if it falls off. They will
Or if you're that irritated.
just as Dex does. And prior to me being, because right now, since I'm on the study, I can't speak to it. I haven't been calling them for 2 years. But what I can tell you is I would try to get a backlog enough of materials so I had backup. But what I would do is I'd wait till I had like 5 pods, as long as I had enough. And I'd call when I had like 5. I wrote down notes because like Dexcom, they're going to ask you questions, but I used to write down notes and I'd call all 5 in at once. So they would send me 5 back. But if insurance is not covering it, they will replace 2. It is a pain. I mean, just as Dexcom is. But the one thing I can say is we are on pods and Dex, and we put our Dex on our arms. We rotate arms every 10 days, and we do not use our arms for pods at all. We use he uses his thighs and his like upper buttocks for his pods.
Okay.
If that helps. I mean, just to give you, like, and my son's 13, so he's a small guy. I mean, I'm 5'2". He's getting close to my height, but he's still little and skinny and doesn't have a lot of, and it's working. And we also have an allergist who prescribes a steroid cream when his skin does get real bad. We just avoid the site and use the steroid creams.
And there's also steroid creams you can get over the counter that may not be quite as effective, but you can try that too.
All right, we're gonna have to start doing that.
But like on my arm is where I like my Dexcom because I only tried on my leg once and I like moved my leg like around and it just like hurt like really bad when I went up and down.
Sometimes you get a spot. Yep.
Yeah.
Sorry, is it normal sometimes when you insert on a Dexcom sensor is it normal for it to bleed at the site from time to time? Like
Dexcom?
Yeah.
You know, some people bleed more than other people. I feel like some people tend to bleed more frequently, but it happens time to time. The best thing you can do, and I do this for all my patients, like if I'm inserting one in clinic, put pressure on it for like 30 seconds to a minute to get the bleeding to stop, and then just put the transmitter on as normal and see if it works. And a lot of times, like holding down the pressure to get it to stop bleeding works fine.
Okay.
And
when we first started with it, she never bled, and then all of a sudden it was like one time she did, and she's like screaming, "Oh my God, it hurts!" And I'm like, I didn't know if it was like, you know, does it happen?
I think if there's just like certain areas, like for some reason, like the lower right part of my abdomen always bleeds, but like nowhere else does. And I don't know if it's because I have scar tissue there or something. So there's a lot of different random factors.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. I don't want to cut anybody off. We already went over quite a little bit, but that's okay. Totally fine. I just want to give you some more information about the upcoming next meeting, kind of wrap up and all that. And then, you know, if you have any questions, concerns, things like that in between, feel free to email me, and I can always like connect you with the right folks if I don't know the answer.
Or if you have any tech questions, you can reach out to me too. So
wonderful, and I can connect you with Julia.
Thank you. Can you put my email in the chat?
You can, totally.
Okay.
Yep. So thank you again to Julia for presenting for us. So the next meeting will be in January. So we'll do every other month for right now. So it'll be January the 13th, also at 6:30. And our next speaker is Meredith Thaviraj. She is a registered dietitian and certified diabetes care and education specialist who works for Johns Hopkins Children's Center. And the topic that we're going to be doing is next level nutrition. So maybe not the same stuff that you talk to about with your regular dietitian, or if you do see a dietitian periodically, but kind of more ways to make things work for you. So if you have any specific questions or things that you would like her to discuss, or I can always send those out to her ahead of time so that she can make sure to address those in the talk, or you can bring them when you come as well. Again, please feel free to email me with any feedback that you have, things that you liked, didn't like, things that you'd like to see coming up in the future. We have a few other folks lined up. Julia kind of alluded to, we have a wonderful speaker that's going to talk about new emerging technologies and things that haven't quite come out yet.
It's going to be a good one.
New products that are either new to the market or coming out to the market. We have some folks that are going to talk to you about the diabetes online community and some of the great support that you can get through there. So lots of good things coming up, but if you have certain things that you really just want to talk about, please feel free to email me and let me know, and I can work on getting that set up. All right.
Thanks for coming, everyone. It was such a great conversation. Good to see everyone.
Thank you so very much. And you guys all have a great evening.
Thanks,
Thank
Julia.
you.
Thank you. You too. We really appreciate you guys doing this. We learned a lot tonight.
Yeah.
Awesome. I'm so glad. Yay. All right. Bye, guys.
Bye. Nice meeting everyone. So guess what?
Oh, we got